All right, welcome to lesson 6. This is missing numbers and multiplication and division. It's very similar to a pre-algebra lesson we did earlier this year. However, this time it involves finding the variables that are missing in multiplication and division problems. The multiplication problems are pretty easy to solve because there's only one rule for solving them. So let's take a look at doing that, and then we'll get into division. So let's look at number 1. It says 4x equals 32. So 4x, some of you might be wondering what that is asking. 4x just simply means 4 times x. Whenever you see a variable right next to a number, it means multiply those two. So this is 4 times x equals 32. The equal sign is a balance, remember? This side's 32. This side has to be 32 if these are equal. So 4 times what makes 32? Now, some of you probably solved it in your head already. Some of you might be using some kind of cancelization techniques, narrowing it down, like saying 4 times 10 is 40. That's too high. Let's try 4 times 9. That's 36. Too high, but I'm getting close. That's great. It works for you, but it's going to get more complicated. These numbers are going to get huge, and you cannot do those in your head. So think of what math strategy you might want to use to solve this. Now, with multiplication, you could always divide one of these factors from the product, and you'll always get the right answer. Okay? Remember when we wanted to get the variable by itself? That's the goal of algebra. You want to do that here too. X has a 4 with it. It's not by itself. To do that, you can't just subtract 4, because 4 is being multiplied to the x. You have to do the opposite of multiplication, and that's division. Whenever you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other. So I'm going to divide this side by 4 as well. 4 divided by 4 cancels out. It's 1. Right? So 1x. So there's an x left over. The equal side comes down, and 32 divided by 4 is 8. All right? If you don't like the cancelization, getting x by itself, just think of this. Whenever you multiply, whenever it's a multiplication problem, divide to get your answer. 32 divided by 4 is 8. Right? Just really quick on number 2 is 6x equals 78. How are you going to solve that? It's a multiplication problem, so you divide. 78 divided by 6, and that'll be your answer. Okay? Now multiplication is the easy part because all you have to do is divide. Okay? Whenever it's a multiplication problem, you just divide. That's it. With the division, there's always one where you divide and there's one that you multiply. So let's look at the difference in that. But to know that, you need to remember where the dividend, the divisor, and the quotient is at in a problem. So let's say that you have 8 cookies, and you're going to share them with 4 friends. So you're going to each get 2 cookies, right? 8 divided by 4 is 2. The 8 is the dividend. D-I-V-I-D-E-N-D. Dividend. Okay? That's the number that's going to be divided. You have 8 cookies. It's going to be divided by friends. 4 here is the divisor. D-I-V-S-O-R. It's the number that's going to cut into the dividend. It's the number by which the dividend is going to be divided. We were sharing the 8 cookies with 4 friends. So the 4 friends are going to split up that dividend. And then the 2 is the quotient. And the quotient is always the answer to a division problem. Okay? This 8 divided by 4 equals 2 can be written in a few different ways. Okay? You could also say 8 divided by 4 equals 2. Okay? Notice it's the same order, kind of. Dividend, divisor, quotient. Or there's the box version where it's backwards. The biggest number always goes in the box. 8, the dividend, is going to be divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Oh, and I did that backwards, huh? It's supposed to be 8 divided by 4, friends, equals 2. All right, so there's your quotient, there's your dividend, there's your divisor. Okay, to solve the missing letter ones, the missing variables in division problems, it's kind of nice to know where your divisor is at, okay, and where your dividend is at. Let's go ahead and take a look at this on your homework. Number 7 says 28 divided by t equals 4. All right. Here's your dividend, 28. The divisor is missing. Okay? The divisor is missing, you have your quotient. Whenever this is the case, you're going to divide once again. Right? You divided for all the multiplication ones, you're going to divide once again. So whenever the divisor is missing, I'm going to put like this, missing divisor, you're going to want to divide. Okay? So 28 divided by 4 equals 7. You got it? Let's check that out. 28 divided by 7 equals 4. Did it work? The equal sign says they're both should be balanced. There's 4's on this side, and what is 28 divided by 7? 4. 4 and 4, they're equal. Okay, it worked out. You could always test these, and I encourage you to do that. There's no reason to ever get these kind of problems wrong. Because when you get your answer, you can plug it in and see if it's right. And if it's right, then you did it right, and you're good to go. If it's wrong, you could do it over. And usually, if you multiplied, you know that you should probably have divided. And if you divided, then you know you should probably multiply. Just do the opposite. All right. That was with a divisor. Okay? Let's do one where the quotient is missing. Number 4. Or sorry, not the quotient. Let's do one where the dividend is missing, like on number 4. Number 4 says W divided by 3 equals 8. Now you don't have a missing divisor, you have a missing dividend. And it says here divide. It's not going to be true. And look at this, 8 divided by 3, you're going to get a mixed fraction, and I don't even know if you know how to do mixed fractions yet. That's telling you that there's something wrong here. Whenever you're missing the dividend, you're going to multiply. This is the only one that you multiply, if you're missing the dividend. And remember, the dividend was on the top here. It was at the front, if it was to be divided like this. But it's inside that box if the problem was written like this. Okay? So watch out for when that dividend is missing. That's the only time you're going to multiply. It's the only time you're going to multiply, when the dividend is missing. Dividend is on the top, at the front, or in the box. Back to your problem. Multiply. 3 times 8. What's 3 times 8? 24. So W equals 24. Let's check it out. Let's just test it. If this was 24, would this work? 24 divided by 3 equals 8. All right? Now you know how to find missing numbers in multiplication and division problems. Most of the time you divide. Just divide the two numbers. However, if your dividend is missing, multiply the other two numbers and you'll find your dividend. Hope that helped. Thank you very much.